Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Web Piano Teacher Artist Series podcast, where we are breaking down every song on Billy Joel's The Stranger album. We've made it to track number 5, Vienna. So Shawn, why don't you take it away?
All right. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile. But then if you're so smart, tell me, why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. You got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. But you know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you even get halfway through. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you're doing fine. You can't be everything you wanna be before your time. Although it's so romantic on the borderline tonight. Too bad, but it's the life you lead. You're so ahead of yourself that you forget what you need. Or you can see when you're wrong. You know you can't always see when you're right. You're right. You've got your passion, you've got your pride. But don't you know that only fools are satisfied? Dream on, but don't imagine they'll all come true. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? Slow down, you crazy child. Take the phone off the hook and disappear for a while. It's alright, you can afford to lose a day or two. When will you realize Vienna waits for you? You know that when the truth is told, that you can get what you want or you can just get old. You're gonna kick out before you even get halfway through. Why don't you realize Vienna waits for you? When will you realize Vienna waits for you? There we go. 2. Well, I'm just going to leave it at that. That was take 5, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, 5 for the 5th track. That's why I did it.
Oh, okay. Didn't know you planned it that way.
Yeah.
That's a good job.
Wow, I know. So for one of the songs that's kind of the easiest chord progression, I just had some little funk in my brain.
Up? I know. I was thinking, I was like, okay, so you made it through Scenes from an Italian Restaurant, and now you're struggling on this one?
It's one of those things where you have too much time to think. Where it's slow enough where you get to think too much. And I knew that chord didn't come next. Why did I do that? Why did my hand do that?
In nearly 20 years of marriage, I have noticed a pattern that if it's really complicated, you're the guy to call.
Yeah.
If it's simple,
I miss it.
It just
Yeah, I think it's too much time to think because I'm thinking of the chord progressions. I'm thinking of like one time my mistake was I did that because I'm thinking of the resolution of the augmented 6th chord. So I get in my head. Like many things, you get in your head and then you forget what you can do.
I can see that because I get a sense when you're performing this song that you're like, because this is like a relaxed, easy song, but I get the sense that you're like chomping at the bit a little bit to get to the next chord. Not that you're rushing it, but there's just some kind of like you're ready.
Should I do it again?
No, for the next thing. Maybe I'm just noticing that because I know how your brain.
Yeah, and so, right. And again, it's, I haven't played it my whole life. It's relatively new for me doing it. So
yeah, I was going to ask you this question. Is this one of the Billy Joel songs that you have like played and listened to and done your whole life, or is this one?
Oh, it's one I've listened to my whole life for sure. Not played, but it's in my head. It's in me, But
I'm curious why this isn't one that you have played.
I don't know. It just wasn't. I have no idea why.
Because I mean, everybody, if you've listened to the podcast, you know how I feel about Just the Way You Are.
Uh-huh.
I would put this in the same category of like a slower song.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like this song so much more. But you said like Just the Way You Are, you love playing that song.
I love playing this one too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I have no reason why I didn't, play it as much as the other ones. But it is, all of them are kind of relatively new because I didn't play them a lot. I just kind of learned them for a day or so.
Yeah.
But this would be, nothing if I have played it for a few more days, a lot.
Yeah.
But just having to think about it where it's in that stage where it's still new and you're still thinking about the chords, I get ahead of myself. And yeah. So that, lesson to you, even all of us have to have that time of learning where we really get something in us before.
How perfect. You would have to work on slowing down as in the first line of the song.
Right. Yeah.
I have so much I could say about this song, but I feel like it's not as important as what you would have to say about this song in terms of like what it's doing musically.
Well, why not start with that and then you can give us some of what you have.
Yeah.
Musically, my favorite part is the intro. Listen to the chords. So first you start out, you don't do this. You go. It's an augmented chord. And an augmented sixth. Fully diminished. A 1, but it's a 1-6-4, which is, and then we end so the chords are so crafty and creative. I was trying to think, what does that intro sound like? It sounds this. What does it sound? Then it finally hit me. It sounds Viennese.
Oh, shocking.
Yeah, but it was a while. It was a few days, maybe a few weeks before it hit me. It sounds Viennese. It sounds like, the Viennese waltzes, Strauss.
The title of the song's Vienna.
Yes, of course,
okay.
but that eluded me. Yeah, it was too simple. One of those things. But you hear. Oh, sorry. So
I'm literally just like delighted at how your brain operates.
Yeah. So this is not in 3/4. It's in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's in 4, but somehow it has a 3 feel. I don't know how he did that.
The accents? I mean,
because the waltzes, they would go da dum, and it wasn't written that way. It was 1, 2, 3. But in the Viennese waltzes, you went one dum bum. And then you have, you hear those in cartoons, the Viennese waltzes. And so somehow he managed to sound like a waltz, not being in 3/4. He's in 4/4. But you have, listen to it. So it has a slowed down, but it still has that lilt. I'd like to know if he did that on purpose, realize that he did that.
Surely.
Or what. But it sounds very Viennese to me. Now, the rest of the song does not. It's just regular pop chords. Well, you have a, flat 7. And then he has some cool things. Billy Joel things. But nothing's too out of the ordinary. But that that intro is just really cool.
Yeah.
I think. And one more chord. That one. I can just play it and you know what it is.
Yeah.
So he has these pop chords and stuff, and then it's an augmented 6th chord. If you take the 1 chord, we will know 1, 4, 5, easy. But if you sharp the 5 and then make a 7th chord out of it, that's how you do this. And that's not something you find. You find in classical music, but not here, not in this genre. But Billy does it. Vienna waits for you. So that right there is, I don't think you can come up with that without having been classically influenced.
When you say a pop chord.
Yeah. That's just the 1, 4, 5, because you go, da, da, 1, 6, 1, 5, flat 7. That's used. 4, 1. So it's just pretty,
So you're saying a pop chord would just follow a regular pattern.
It's your regular cut, your red, green, and yellow color when you're a kid, your primary colors, that you use. So he's really getting going in some colors in the color box here to get these chords, which are drawn from classical music.
Yeah.
So.
And I guess this is one of my favorite songs of his. But I don't think this is a popular song. I think it is popular because he's Billy Joel and it's on the Stranger album and it's an amazing song.
Yeah.
But he considers this just like a album track.
Okay.
Not like a single, right? Not like released as a single, got a ton of radio play. He just considers this an album track.
I consider all of them except 2 just the top.
Well, me too. But I guess he's coming from this. This is how the record companies and the radio world classified this song. But this is one of his top 5 songs. He did an interview on some late night talk show, and they said, "What are Billy Joel's top 5?"
Okay, that he likes or that he thinks everyone likes.
No, that for him.
Okay.
And this was his number 5.
Okay.
Number 1 was "Scenes from an Italian Restaurant."
Okay.
Because he gets to do it all in that song. Of course, that's fun for him.
Sure.
But so this was his number 5, and he kind of, even in the book that I read, he sort of downplayed this song as he thinks it's a great track. But, I don't really know where that attitude about it comes from, because even then he said in his big Madison Square Garden shows, which was much later than this song coming out, he gives the audience a choice. So he'll hold up, if you want Just the Way You Are, everybody cheer. If you want Vienna, everybody cheer. And most of the time, this song wins out.
Huh.
Which Just the Way You Are is a single. Really, that was the largest single released.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, there's not a whole lot to it, but there is. It's and
it's perfection in the simplicity.
Yeah, it really is. And then the other last musical thing is the end, where he goes, no, waits for you, and then little blues.
Yes.
Just a taste, just a sprig.
It's like
of blues and
the salt on the chocolate. You know how sometimes you'll get chocolate, but then has a little bit of flaky salt on it. That little piece at the end gives me so much joy every single time I hear it.
And you can feel it coming because he has, then you hear, it's coming. And it's just a little flavor of it.
That's where I feel like he has such freedom, because if this song was heavily modeled after a classical theme and chords and structure, but then I guess maybe somebody from the classical world would be like, he has the audacity to put a blues lick in it at the end. But I just am like, oh, that's so cool to me that he would not adhere to one thing because that's the theme or that's what he was going for. But he just, it's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, what did he feel like at the end? He felt like playing that little blues note. It's just amazing to me.
And the message of the song is good. It's really good. I'm sure we were getting to that.
Yes.
And you've told me, but tell everyone else what you always think of for this song.
Oh, my son. Both of them. Probably anybody that has a teenager. Because they're right on the cusp of they're still children. If I was going to have to take one of them to a hospital, it would be a children's hospital because they're 18.
Yeah.
So they're still children, really, but they're not really. They're on this cusp of adulthood. And I just always want to, slow down, you crazy child. Why are you in such a rush to grow up? It's not that great.
Yeah.
You don't know how good you have it right now.
Yeah, and we all are when we're that age, just in a rush.
It's interesting to me that Billy Joel was relatively young when he wrote this. I mean, 20s.
Okay. 20s, huh?
So I do think he is just somebody who is always a deep thinker, you know, and thinks on the deeper things in life and he has knowledge and wisdom. I can kind of see that in his songs and how he writes. And
yeah, I know. Again, it's applicable to just the human experience.
But then he reveals the song, he wrote it for his dad.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me. When I read this or when I hear this song, it feels like an older person speaking to a younger person. However, he wrote this for his dad as a younger person speaking to an older person, which I just kind of find fascinating. Really. I mean, I have so many questions about how this was for his dad, like his intention for it.
Yeah. So what was important about Vienna?
Well, his dad moved to Vienna.
Okay. Yeah.
They were estranged. Had an estranged relationship. And his dad's background is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm always interested in like the human aspect, everybody's experience of World War II. So I love World War II history because it's just, I like the people's experiences through that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not really like the battles and the like ships and the aircraft and like that's not really my area, but it's people's the human stories through that time period are really interesting.
That's why so
me.
Many books are written,
and just a bigger historical picture of like Nazi Germany and just kind of, I guess the psychology of it all and like them moving over, like just the area and everything. So anyway, his dad, in the lead up to World War II, he was born in Germany, Nuremberg, Germany, which World War II history, a lot went on in Nuremberg and after they had the trials there and everything. So he was born there and his family was a well-to-do business. They had a business. It basically was kind of like, I don't know, like a JCPenney type of thing or a Sears. Like they just had these store and they sold like everything you could think of. And they were Jewish. So Jews living in Germany. Yeah. His dad was sent to Switzerland as a child to go to boarding school. So they were a well-to-do family. Okay. So I find it interesting. Anyway, he was sent to Switzerland and then they had to flee Germany. And because they had the fortune of some money to be able to get things, they fled to Cuba. And then they were in Cuba for like a year.
What year was that? Like getting close to where you couldn't leave, or?
I mean, I have it written down, but I'm not going to look it up. There's a documentary on YouTube you can watch that was done about Billy Joel's family. Yeah. And Billy Joel and his half brother, I think, were sort of the catalyst to get that.
Yeah, he was born here, though, right?
Who? Or Billy Joel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So his dad. Then they fled to Cuba, and then they were able. I mean, getting out of Cuba was even hard. So then they were able to get to New York. But it's interesting. A lot of his family, they were trying to get to Cuba, and they made it to Cuba. But then, I mean, I've read about this in history. Their ship, they were not allowed to get off the ship, and then the ship was then taken back to Germany, and they ended up in concentration camps. Oh. So his dad's ship, made it to Cuba, and they were able to get off of the ship. Okay. And go into Cuba. Yeah. But then I think it was his uncle and their family. Yeah. They were in another ship that came to Cuba, and they were not allowed to get off the ship. The ship had to return to Germany. Okay. I can't remember, but it just makes me, that's like heartbreaking to think about. Oh, yeah, I know it. And just like how truly by chance, most of the time, you make it through life.
I like Vienna, too, because Vienna, if you didn't know, is at one time the music capital of the world. You have, Mozart, Beethoven. And it was just, Vienna was, later it was Paris, but first it was, Vienna.
Yeah. His dad too, I was really taking a long time to get to this point.
Okay.
When he came to America, then he was drafted to fight in Germany as an American, like for American.
Yeah. Right.
Forces.
Drafted. Mm-hmm.
So then he had to go to Nuremberg and was fighting, and
the people he knew. Yeah.
The people he knew, possibly family, friends in his neighborhood.
In his neighborhood.
Can you imagine what that was like for him? So then he comes back from the war, and he's just very disillusioned.
Yeah.
With he wasn't really a part of Germany, and he's not really doesn't feel American, and he's trying to live this like American dream, because they moved to like the first suburb ever created outside of the city. Anyway, just trying to live that American dream and just not being able to. Mm-hmm. I mean, the trauma that he probably faced.
Yeah.
And he ended up leaving the family. Billy Joel was pretty young.
Yeah.
And moved to Vienna, which I find interesting. Vienna is also known, one of its names is like the city of dreams.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So I can understand this like idea that if I can make it to Vienna, and his dad was a classical pianist. Mm-hmm. That was his thing. Billy Joel has these early memories of him playing piano at their house.
Yeah.
All the classics, Beethoven, Bach. I think he loved Wagner,
okay.
And anyway, so moved to Vienna, had another family. Billy Joel, much later in life, found out he had a half-brother who happened to be an orchestra conductor in Vienna.
Yeah.
How amazing.
I know.
Anyway, so that, Vienna is sort of this, like, he says it's like a metaphor for, in this song, a metaphor for old age.
Yeah.
But again, I find it interesting that a young person is writing to older people.
Young people can have wisdom.
Oh,
doesn't happen.
That's what I said. He has,
and old people cannot have wisdom.
Yeah.
So.
But anyway, so his dad was in Vienna, and he and Billy Joel reunited with his dad in Vienna. And so for Billy Joel, Vienna is this like the place where you close the circle.
Yeah.
And I think what's so neat is it's on multiple levels. It's personally for him with his dad, relationship with his dad, and then also it's got to be musically.
Yeah.
Because if you're somebody who has learned, I mean, he loves Beethoven.
Oh.
So if you're like modeling your playing and you love Beethoven, that's all you listen to get to go to Vienna would be sort of again, that like closing the circle.
I know, I'd like to go. That's cool. Yeah, there's one other thing I thought of music that I want to show. You start off in the chorus. Juanita has this. That 2/7, 2 minor 7, 5/7. Because he's kind of playing back and forth. He's in G minor or B flat. Because G minor and B flat have the same key signature, so it's easy to kind of be in one of those or the other. So he's kind of starting in G minor, but then when he goes, because he just doesn't go, just 5 to 1. He has his 2/7, which sounds very Billy Joel to me. He always uses that. So. Right, feel that, recognize that.
Yeah.
Something he does quite a bit, that 2/7, 5/7.
You had said in an earlier episode talking about a different song that we were talking about the difference between Billy Joel and Elton John musically, and how they're similar in that they came about popular at about the same time. They're male. They're piano players that play like rock and roll players, and they sort of singer-songwriter feel about them. But then you said Elton John is able to take everything and make it Elton John signature.
Right.
And that Billy Joel is able to take himself and become something else. Yeah. But as we're really looking into these songs, I do agree with you still on that Billy Joel does a great job because he changes his voice, he changes his attitude, he changes the music, but there's still some of these common threads that go through the music that still make it Billy Joel.
Sure.
So I used to listen to his songs and think really every song seems so different. But now that I'm learning like some of the stuff that he does that you're saying, like, oh, that's a very Billy Joel thing. He does that.
Right.
He doesn't lean on it. You know what I mean? But it's there. And so I'm starting to find, like, I have this like common thread feeling for his music that I maybe didn't recognize before.
Looking at it deeper,
of course, we're not doing any of this. He doesn't have any of his like 50s, you know, like Frankie Valli on this album. Now, that one, but I feel like it's probably there.
Yeah,
he's got to write it in. But I love this song. So Billy Joel, as of within the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, he's had a resurgence amongst the young people.
Yeah.
And this is one of those songs that has sort of hit and gone viral with the younger listeners.
And we've experienced this with our little 8-year-old daughter, our 9-year-old.
She's 9.
She's singing these songs everywhere. I mean, and we weren't trying to force it on her. She just kind of picked it up because we're listening to them.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's fascinating to me.
But this is one of the songs that's sort of had a resurgence. And I find that interesting, again, because the sentiment of the song doesn't, to me, feel like something a younger person sings. It seems like something an older person would sing to a younger person, which now it is. Billy Joel is singing this to them, maybe. But I always wanted the part where it's like, take the phone off the hook.
Yeah. There used to be hooks for phones.
I know. I'm like, take the phone off, get off.
Put the phone down. Or
TikTok for a while. How can I work that hard K sound into the TikTok hook? I don't know. But anyway, I just love this song. You've got your passion. You've got your pride.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree with, don't you know that only fools are satisfied?
Well, I think what he means there is you just get satisfied with where you are. I'm satisfied.
That's true.
Instead of always thinking, oh, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can try for this.
I guess maybe satisfaction and contentment maybe could fall into separate categories.
Yeah.
So.
To never be satisfied, to keep going for more.
Great song.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe I like the song, too, because it's Billy Joel singing in my range.
Okay.
So I can sing along better.
Okay. Well, you can sing it out if you want.
But I hope you guys like what we're doing, like the conversations that we're having around music and the things of music, and trying to bridge some of these like classical elements to pop from the 70s to now. It's just such a, I just get a little overwhelmed. This sounds so stupid, maybe a little ridiculous, but I get overwhelmed with how music works in terms of how it makes us feel, that somebody in 1977 felt the same way hearing the song as I feel now.
Yeah.
And I can feel this in a sense like for my parents' generation and then also for my son and his generation. It's just like overwhelming a little bit that could be captured in a single song.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm like thinking too deeply on it.
It's a miracle.
But you have to think like, if we're trying to ask the question, how does this song stand the test of time, where we've got multiple generations of family members enjoying the song on the same level? It's mind-blowing to me. Truly.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you guys like this conversation that we get to, the privilege of getting to have in front of you guys, you can help us out.
Yeah.
Follow
like the video. Yeah.
Like the video, all
comments.
The things.
And by the way, I teach this on my website, webpianoteacher.com.
Oh, I did have a question.
Along with many
you didn't
others.
play the little musical interlude with the accordion?
I didn't. No.
Do you teach that on the website?
I'm sure I do.
Okay.
I'm sure I do.
I'm sure you do too. I think you were just like, let's get this over with.
All right.
Am I singing?
Do you want? Yeah, sure. I don't need that.
Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile, but then if you're so smart, tell me why are you still so afraid? Where's the fire? What's the hurry about? You better cool it off before you burn it out. Got so much to do and only so many hours in a day. But you know that when the truth is told, that you forget what you want, or you can just get old. You're gonna kick off before you